Class has begun. Alright, very good, very good. Now let's go into class today. Alright, so in the first lesson we learned about the alphabet, we learned the consonants, the vowels, how to pair them together, and a little bit about just like how to read these syllables together, right? So we got a lot of practice with that. I gave you guys one official homework sheet and then three extra practices. I don't remember. I think I did 3 extra. I don't remember. There's a lot of extra practice, basically. And you can get access to all of that in our Discord. Oh, 2. Okay, so there were 3 sheets in total, but 2 extras. So you can get all that practice. It's pinned in the Korean Help channel on my Discord. You can still gain access to it. You can still do it if you want to. I'll still help you mark it if you want to practice. You just have to DM it to me in PDF format. Alright, so today, since you guys had about 2 weeks to practice reading and possibly a little bit of writing, it's if you wrote, but reading is important. You do need to know like what you're looking at here, because you can't really depend on like the English romanization, which is kind of like romanization is like what it sounds like written in English, right? So it's kind of like phonetically what it looks like in English or sounds like in English, but you can't depend on that for the rest of your life. Although it's important to our comprehension of what the letters sound like. Eventually you're just gonna be able to know, right? You're gonna look at the Korean characters and you're gonna be like, oh, this says sa or something, right? So you'll just be able to read it like it's second nature with a lot of practice. It's not gonna come to you in like a day. Obviously, it's gonna come with like, you know, months, years of practice. You just have to read a lot, look at the characters a lot, and do a lot of that. So, before I dive into some general information, I wanted to finish up a little bit on consonants and reading consonants. So I found in the homework, which I feel like we need to definitely go over here. Oh, that's the wrong. Okay, that's good. Okay, so in the homework, I found that a lot of people made mistakes with this character, which can be the G or kind of a very soft K sound, okay? So this, I found people had a lot of trouble with differentiating when it should be either sound. And also, this can be S or it can be actually SH as well. This also people had a lot of trouble with. They didn't know like when it would be this or this. Same thing with this character, which can sometimes kind of sound like an R, but sometimes kind of sound like an L. So this is another issue that I found that a lot of students had problems with. Other ones were this, which is actually the U sound. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this again, although it's already pinned in the Discord messages. I write on paint better than you write on paper. Oh. God. Okay. So, alright, so with this, usually if it's at the beginning, of a syllable, it's more of a G sound. And if it's at the end, it's more of a K sound. So for example, if we wrote kak, this is more, you would write it like this. There would be more of a K. So this is the K sound. A little bit of like a soft K sound, and then this would be G. Now, interesting about the S syllable, this one, is that when it's before the E sound, this actually makes SH, so she. But if it's in front of like an O sound, it would just be so. Usually I find that it's just, if it's in front of the I sound, it makes the SH sound. Oh, my face is covering this. I'll make it a little bit smaller. There you go. Because even if you do ha, that's the S sound. If you do ha, that's also the S sound. If you do shu, this is another one. So this is an S-H-Y-U. This is definitely blocking it. I know I'm definitely blocking this. So for example, with this, I'll just disappear for a moment. Yeah, double vowels also make it an SH sound. That's correct. Well, the thing is, the pronunciation is still SH. So regardless of like whether the expression is a little bit more like exclaimed or not, it's still the SH sound. The S is what is it? What is the difference of regular S versus double S? So it's a stronger sound, right? So the difference between this is like soft S. And then double is strong. It's like sang versus hang. So this is a much stronger sound. It's like pang versus bang, right? It's like a lot stronger, a lot more enunciated. And then other thing I found in the homework is that with this, usually it's a little bit hard to tell when it sounds a little bit more like R or a little bit more like L, but usually, well, technically there is no R and L. This is actually, it's kind of like a combination between the two. The sound is kind of a combination between the two. But sometimes it can sound a little bit like a rolled R, a little bit. Like for example, if we take the word 사랑, right? So mostly or usually you would write 사랑 means love, okay? Am I blocking? Almost blocking. Okay, so usually you would write this as 사 and then R-A-N-G. 사랑, right? But you don't really write it as 사랑, right? You don't really use the L. It kind of sounds more like a rolled R, but it's not really rolled R. It's like a little bit of a combination in between. So I would say usually, like, you with experience, you kind of understand, like, when you read it, which one sounds more appropriate. 네. Right, that's right. Remember, 네 means yes. Or yes, I understand. 네. Alright, so before I continue today, let's have a small introduction from our students. Let's get a little bit of a roll check here. Can I get a present from China?
Present.
Joe or Ava?
Here.
Cure?
Here.
Austin?
Here.
Zoe?
Here.
Excellent. Very good, very good. Alright, so these are our students for today. We are joined by China, Joe's daughter Ava, Cure, Austin, and Zoe. So these are all students that either were in the live lesson or attended the first lesson. And like I said, you shouldn't be joining the live lesson if you didn't follow along the previous lesson. So you should definitely, you know, follow along each and every lesson, or else you're going to fall behind and you're going to be confused. All right, so we went a little bit over some common mistakes in lesson one's homework. So now we're going to talk a little bit about silent consonants. So this one is, why is this so fat? Oh, there we go. So this can be a little bit tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. So these are silent consonants. Okay. Damn, I write pretty good with a mouse. Alright. So, here's a new term you guys can learn. The final consonant of any syllable Okay, it's getting wild. It's called 받침. So, how do you rate that? So if we're gonna break this down for practice, here we have the B sound. Here we have the A sound, right? And this is the D sound, right? So pat, tim. And we have, is it tim or tim? Oh, it's tim, that's right. Okay, so it's CH. And then this is the I sound, or, well, it's E, but you can write it as I. And this is M. So, this is 받침. So this is the final consonant of any syllable. So for example, if we write like sam, right? This is a consonant. This would be the 받침. This is the final consonant, okay? Or if we wrote 살, this would be 받침. This is the final consonant of the syllable. If we wrote, let's for example write 밤, this is also 받침. Okay, so it's basically just the final consonant of any syllable, the very, very end of it. So sometimes, like I told you guys before, there are words that are a little bit more intricate, okay? So for example, let me write this down. Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, so wait, let me see how this looks. You guys can see this, right? Yes. Okay, so this means to read. And what's interesting about this is that there's two consonants at the bottom. So, like I told you before, it can be vowel, consonant, consonant. So this is the E sound, right? This is the L sound or the R sound. And then this is the G or the K sound, right? And this is a fat D. So this is ta, 읽다. Okay, so what's interesting about this word is that technically you can say every single consonant on the bottom here. You can say 읽다. But usually when you're talking, you omit this. So you kind of just say 읽다. So you don't really say this one. Even though you could. It would make it really awkward. So you technically just say 읽다. So this is kind of silent. Any questions?
So how do you know? Is there a reason like why it's silent? And like how do you know which?
So usually, it's silent because it's awkward to say. So what's so interesting in the Korean language is that oftentimes in the spoken language, so you have to kind of understand that it's similar in English, right? So it's like the way we talk, like if we said like what's up, like you wouldn't necessarily write that in an essay, right? So it's like the way we talk is and the way we write is a little bit different in Korean as well, where we would want to speak it in a way where it's convenient for the speaker and it's not awkward. So usually a lot of times in Korean you omit certain sounds to make it smoother to say as a sentence or smoother to say as a line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for another example, let me write this down. Hold on, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna erase this. I hope you guys have this. So another example is 팔다. So here we have the B sound, the A sound, the RL sound, and the G or K sound, right? So you wouldn't really say 팔다, 팔다. Like you would just omit this because it's too awkward to say like the L sound and then the G sound or K sound all together. This plus this is awkward. So we just go no. We just won't say it. Make sense? Alright, so another example is a very common word that I think a lot of people have heard. And this is kind of just in the way that you would speak this, but let's take a look at like 감사합니다, right? Which means thank you. Oh my gosh. 감사. Ah, it's wild. 감사합니다. Okay, so here, take a look at this slowly again. So we have GAHMSAH. 감사. There's a B. 니. 다. Right? So here, interesting is this B sound is often omitted and you don't really hear it when you actually say it out loud. So you wouldn't say 감사합니다. You just say 감사합니다. So this B sound almost kind of just melts into the N. And it almost sounds like an M. 감사합니다. Because they just kind of like melt this all together so that it's more fluid to say. So even though the word is written with the B sound, you don't hear the B sound when it's spoken. So like I said, it all goes back to like fluidity. And when you speak the language, when you read the word out loud, if it's awkward, it's usually omitted, spoken. That makes sense? So that's the concept of silent consonants. All right, now, I'll teach you guys one more new thing. I know, brain, please don't explode yet. Anybody's brain explode yet? What does that mean? It's not really just cause. It's literally because it's easier to say. That's all it is. So I guess it's a little bit like just cause, but it's because it is like easier to say. That's why it's omitted. All right, so another thing that you guys need to learn is there is a interesting. There are a few syllables that make a kind of a D/T sound when you put it at the end of a syllable. So for example, if you add this syllable, this syllable, what else is there? Not. There's this syllable, I guess. So there's a few, there's a few consonants where if you add it at the end of the word or syllable, it turns it into a DT sound. So let's take, let's say Natsumi, right? So let's write Natsumi. So if you write Natsumi, you would actually do not. Su. Me. So right here, this is the N sound, the A sound. So this actually turns into a D or a T sound. Another example would be if you did cat. That's the same thing. This turns into like a T sound. And it's very similar when you see like, let's see, like this. This is also not. So basically just, or you can do this, but this looks weird. This says sheet. Sheet. Or, I mean, you can, it basically just makes it into a D or T sound. If you put it at the end of, so it's usually you have a consonant, a vowel, and then when you add any of these into the bottom, it makes this sound. Three and four. Yeah, so set is this, right? Oh shoot, I don't know how to spell set. Set and net. Oh yeah, it is. Here it is. It's this. So this is 3 in Korean and 4 in Korean. And you can see here that when you add this, it actually makes the T sound. So even though in the front right here, right, we have the S sound and the E. So we have se. But since we add this character, it's set. Set. And here we have the N and the E. So it would be ne, right? Like yes. But since we add this, it's net. Set net. It's 3 and 4. Yeah, this is another good example. So flower in Korean is 꽃. Oh, it's so hard to write. There you go. Is 꽃. So it has the double consonant G. Has O. And then it uses this, which means T sound. 꽃. That's flower. 꽃.
So is there like a reason why they don't just put like the G syllable? The
The D one?
Instead they have like the, yeah, like the, because it's like using the
Some-
S
some-
and the J, and I,
Sometimes they do have it as the D. I'm actually not entirely sure why some words are spelled a certain way. They just are.
it just is what it is.
It is just what it is. I don't know why certain words are spelled the way they are. Yeah, it is a little bit more like a swallowed D or T. It's definitely softer. My single brain cell is holding on. Alright, so I guess like this is the slightly more complicated stuff. What is another example? Oh, here's another example. This is light, the word for light, okay? So so here we have the B sound, the E sound, or I if you want to write it. And then here you would have Pete. This means light. Oh shoot, I think it's without this. Sorry. It's the other character. It's this one. Or another example is the word this is clothing. So here we have the O and then T. O. This means clothing, or yeah, clothing. This is clothing. So yeah, those are the 2 extra little consonant things that I feel like you guys do need to learn. And now let's move on to something else. Is it Pete? Is it with the... Is it CH? I don't remember which one it was. Maybe it's this one. Alright, so... No, we're gonna move on before brain explodes. Okay, so this is some really basic knowledge that I think everybody should know. I need to turn down this music a little bit. Alright, so usually in spoken Korean, there are three main commonly used forms of speech. And the first one is the one where you would use something니다. So this is like the first level of politeness. This is usually used with the elderly, like when you're talking to your grandma or your grandpa or your dad or your mom maybe, or your aunt or your uncle, or in like formaler settings like in the army or at work, or older people, basically. People you really want. This is very respectful usually. There's an even more respectful form. I think there's like 5 different forms of speaking, but the most common ones are like these next 3, or these 3 that I'm gonna tell you. The next one, this is, so in terms of respectfulness, we're going down this way. So this is most respectful, and this is least respectful, okay? That's just a minus sign. Alright, so the next one is one where it ends with yo. So this is usually just called like casual polite. Or I guess you would call informal polite, I think. Alright, let's just call it polite. It's polite. So this one, you would use it with like any stranger. Anybody you don't really know. Anybody who's older than you. Yeah. So usually what I would say, so for the purpose of most of the lessons, I'm going to be teaching you guys in polite form because it's most used. It's polite. You can't really go wrong with it. And I'll tell you examples of how to use it, but pretty much like if at the end of the sentence you use yo, you're good. Like you're not going to be like you're not going to be disrespecting anybody. You're not going to piss off anybody. You just got to add yo at the end of everything, okay? All right, now. The the least respectful. This is everything that ends in stuff like, yeah. It could be like, yeah, or like, oh. Basically, it doesn't have an ending or ah. This is just casual. So, like I said, this is the most respectful ending of a sentence. This is polite, which is good for like anybody of any age usually. And then this one is so casual. I'll tell you when you can use casual. With casual form, you can only use it with either they're someone your age, someone younger than you, or someone you're really, really close with. So, and then sometimes it's like, sometimes you can ask the person who's older than you or who's similar age as you, hey, can we lower our formality of speech? So in the Korean culture, respect is super important. Like I'm telling you, like if you go up to a stranger and speak in this form, they will give you dirty looks and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? Right? So it's like at the lowest level, this should be your lowest level of respect. But I mean, you can start at this, which is a really, you know, it's a higher form of respect. So basically, if you don't know someone at all, you always polite form, even if you don't know how old they are. Later on, if you find out how old they are, you can probably be like, oh, I'm older than you. Like, can I lower my formality of speech? Or, oh, I'm older than you. I might just lower my formality of speech. Or if you're younger than that person and you're asking, or you're like pretty close, right? Like, let's say I'm 16, or sorry, let's say I'm 18 and the person I'm talking to is 20 years old. They're still older than me. They're not that much older, but they're still older. And then you would ask that 20-year-old person, hey, is it okay if I lower my formality of speech? Can I speak to you casually? Then they'll be like yes or no, and then you can switch over to casual. But you will never swap over and automatically speak casually to anyone. Polite should be like your default, which is why I'm going to be teaching you guys how to speak or write out your sentences in polite form. So this is just really basic knowledge. It's a cultural thing, and it's a thing that like everybody generally knows if they're trying to learn Korean or speak Korean. Another way we can call this stuff is the first two are called 존댓말. Can you see this? If I write it over here? Yeah, I think so. Wait, yeah, you can. You see it. You're lying to me. And then this one is called 반말. Oh, this one might be covered, so I'll write it over here. So this one is called 반말. Okay. So I'll just write it out in pronunciation for you. So you have the J sound, the O sound, the N sound. 전, tet, 전tet. So this has this is what I just taught you, right? With the T sound that it makes, or the swallowed kind of DT sound that it makes. And then this is 말, 존댓말. And here we have the B sound, the A sound, the N, 반, and then M sound, A sound, and L sound, 반말. 존댓말 and 반말. So these two are called 존댓말. So that means they're like the respectful language or the respectful forms of speech. And 반말 is like the casual You could say it's disrespectful, but it's not disrespectful as long as the people you're talking with are okay with it, as they're informal and formal ways of speech. So, for example, like if you, let me see. There's a few ways to ask if you can lower your speech. I'm not sure whether I should teach it to you or not, because I don't know if, I could. Let's make your brain explode a little bit more. I'm gonna write it out. It's a little bit easier. Instead of, is there a way I can make the font big? Oh, here we go. So here's one. Make this bigger. Can teach it better. So this says 말 놔도 돼요? So let's break this down. So this is M, A, L. So this word means, 말 means like word, like spoken word or speech. Just basically like what you're saying. This word means to lower. And if we're gonna write out the pronunciation, it's N and wa. So noa. And this is D-O-H. Dado. So the do here, okay, it's like gets a little bit complicated. It's like, is it okay? Basically, the question is asking, is it fine if I lower my formality of speech? And then, so te actually, the meaning of te is like to be able to or not. It's like your capability. So it's like to be able to. And then yo, like I said, is the polite ending. So this is 왜. So 말 놔도 돼요? It's, so as you can see, if I break down each and every word, it's like, it's pretty much, can I lower my, would I be able to lower my speech? So you're asking someone like, can I speak casually to you? So this is one way of asking. And this is usually from the person who wants to speak casually. Any questions? No questions, students?
Like, to make something into a question, do you just like change your tone?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So is there
Kind
like,
of.
oh,
There's a way to ask questions too, but your tone also matters.
is there like a question particle or?
Kinda, yeah. There's a
Oh.
way you can change conjugations of, or adding like certain particles that makes it into a question. But for example, you can, it doesn't necessarily have to have it either. So let's say we write this. Oops. Let's say we write 좋아요. This means I like it, or that's fine, or it's good, right? So if someone says like, hey Wendy, do you want to go to the mall? And I'd say 좋아요. But if I wanted to ask somebody if they liked something, or if they thought that, or like if they thought it was good, I'd be like 좋아요, like Like, oh, do you like that? So it's the same thing, but it's a difference in tone. But sometimes there are different phrases where you do have to add extra words to make it into a question. But I feel like we can get into that later. But yeah, to answer your question, there is a difference in tone. And then there is another one where it's like you do add something.
What did the do have a meaning in the sentence?
The dough?
Yeah, did that have a meaning?
So this...
So is up speech the common one?
What speech? Wait, what did you say, Joe? Oops.
Is up speech the common way to turn something into a question?
What do you mean by up speech? You mean like your intonation?
Where you raise your tone at the end of a sentence.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is one way to do it. So the other way is, well, I wasn't going to teach it today, but I could just kind of talk about it a little bit. But it's basically when you add this. 좋을까요? Like, I don't know. It's well, actually, another way to ask a question is to conjugate your verb into a future tense, which we're not learning today. So another thing that you guys need to know, I guess, not today, but is there is a form of way of writing different verbs, right? Like there's past, there's present, and there's future. And that's something you have to learn as well, but we can learn that later. So yeah, like for example, let's just example, you don't have to remember this right now. Let's take the verb to go. 가다. This is the verb to go. So for example, the past tense would be like 갔다. Present is this one. And then the future one is 갈 거다. Listen, it gets a little bit crazy, but there is a present, past, and future. Or 갈 거예요? Isn't that the future? I don't remember. That is it, right? Yeah. That's right. No, they're not. I'm just saying the example. I was trying to answer a question of how to ask a question. Alright, so those are the forms of speech, right? Back to our original. Let's see. Alright, so this is the main juice of our lesson. Today we're going to learn about sentence order. This is important. So this is going to be like your basic, like, how do I make a sentence, right? Sentence structure, order, whatever you want to call it. So there's a few ways. Usually we have either the subject plus a noun, or the subject plus a verb, or we have the subject plus an adjective, or we have the subject plus the object plus the verb. No crazy booming, right? Your mind is not booming yet. So this is subject, noun, verb, adjective, or object. Object. Wait, what happened to my words? Where did it go? Second. I think it's because they're too big. So subject, verb, noun, verb, object, adjective. That's what each letter stands for. Cool? These are, yeah, all possible structures, usually. Alright. Oh my god, I forgot I can just scroll down. Why didn't I scroll down? Instead of making a new page every time. Okay. So, I have a small thing I need to teach you guys before we jump into examples of each of these sentence structures. There is a particle that I need you guys to learn, which is the topic particle. It is in and nin.
Okay.
This is pretty important. This is called the topic particle. So this is pretty much the am or is of English. To be or not to be. So for example, let's take Ava. Ava. And then we would write nin. Okay, so the interesting thing about whether you use in or nin depends on the 받침. What is 받침 again, students?
Final
The ending.
syllable? Character?
Yeah, so it's the final consonant of the word prior. So in this case, Ava is a vowel. Or the end, the A is a vowel, right? So if the A is a vowel, then you need to use nin so that there's a consonant. However, if we're saying, let's say, what's a name that ends with not a vowel? Like, let's say the name Ken. If we use the name Ken, then you would use in, because this is a consonant. So you would use a vowel. Does that make sense? So whenever it's a vowel, you would use the consonant beginning, and whenever it's a consonant, you would use the vowel beginning. It's simple. There's no crazy trick to it. That's it. Understood?
Yep.
Alrighty. Alright, so let's move on. So let's make our sentence. Ava는, so this is Ava is. And we can say 학생. 학생 means student. 이, 에, 요. 학생이에요. Ava is a student. So this means student. And then this part is how you would politely end your word or your sentence. So this is the polite sentence ending. 학생이에요. So in the same way, let's see. Zoe, how would you complete the sentence if we wrote the same thing?
My thing is like delaying right now, so I'm confused.
Oh. Wait, so are you... Oh, is your stream behind?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me ask somebody else for now then. Let's do Austin. How would you complete the sentence if you wanted to say Ken is a student?
Wait, you want me to say this in Korean, right?
Yes.
걔는 학생이에요.
Exactly.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Very good. So you would say Ken은. Well, I'm just gonna write this in quotations. It would be the exact same thing. So Ken은 학생이에요. Thanks to the sub. Okay. So our next example, we can say Wendy. All right. So here, let me ask, Ava, will we use nin or in here? So will we use this one or this one? Wait, Ava or Joe? Would you use the first one or the second one?
She was pushing the wrong key. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. So which one?
Second one?
No. Okay, so Y here or the E sound, so Wendy, right? The E or the Y sound is still a vowel. So you would actually use the first one because if there's a vowel, then it has to follow with a consonant, right? So here we would use Wendy는. Okay. Then you can say wendy는 선생님이에요. So 선생님 is teacher, right? So here we have teacher. And then this is the same thing, right? 선생님이에요. Let me hear Cure say this sentence. Cure?
Yes, Wendy 선생님이세요.
선생님이에요.
선생님이세요.
이에요.
이에요.
Well, because of the sound, yes. Okay, nice, good. Well, okay. I mean, when you write it out, it's the I sound. But even in English, you know Y is a vowel too, right?
I was gonna ask, does the sometimes Y apply in Korean too?
It is. Have you guys ever heard about... Sorry, I'm talking to chat, but it's like, have you never heard A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y? I swear Y
Wait,
is...
what?
What?
I've never
Wha-
heard this.
What?
I love you and sometimes
Me neither.
Y is a vowel.
But it's sometimes. That's why I was wondering, like, does that apply in Korean?
NA education. Actually, no. Okay, so let me explain it to you in Korean. So in Korean, there's no Y, right? So they would just use the E sound. So it would still be a vowel. It would make the E. Basically, if it makes a vowel sound, it's a vowel. A, E, I, O, U. U, E, A, E, O. If it makes any Korean vowel sound, it's a vowel. That makes sense? Is that better? Okay. So, I'm gonna teach you guys the polite way of saying I. So the polite way of saying I is 저. So 저. So it's J-U-H. 저. So, let me see here. Austin. After 저, would you put 는 or 은? Which one would you put here?
None, right?
Yes. You would put 는 here. 저는? So I am. So this is let me write here. This is I, right? This is me. You. I. Well, us. I. And then 는. So this is a vowel, so we put the consonant version of 는 here. And then we can write like, I don't know, what are we? 저는 we're dummies. Okay, let's never mind. Okay, we'll just use a regular word. Oops. 학생이에요. Okay. So this is I am a student. China, can I hear you say this?
저는 학생이에요.
Exactly. So that means I am a student. Simple, right? I am a student. So here we're going back to sentence structure. And in this case, we have the subject and the noun. So the noun is this, and the subject is, you know, us, the person at the beginning. So Ava, Ken, Wendy, or I, we are the subject. And the noun is teacher, student, whatever you want to say, right? That's the noun. So this is the simple subject plus noun sentence. Good, good. Any questions? Got it? All right. Let's move on to the next way. So our next is subject plus verb. So this one is very common. Usually, sentences in Korean are pretty simple. It's usually like, this person is doing that. This person is doing that. This person is doing that. That person is doing this. Or something like that. So in this case, it's subject plus verb, right? So it's subject plus verb. So for example, let's do this one. Let's use me, for example. So Wendy. So what am I doing? So with Wendy, would you use in or nin?
는.
That's right, you would use nin. Because this one, like we said before, is a vowel. And this is consonant. Wendy는. For example, let's do singing. So singing is 노래. Well, 노래 is actually a song. But 노래 해 yo. So this means to do. Oh, why is this not red? To do in present tense. Another way this is written in its verb form is 하다. So basically, it's, I don't know if you guys, I guess it's same, I don't know if it's the same thing in Spanish, but in French, it's like, there's the written way in, like, as it's just its verb, and then you conjugate it, right? In past tense, or present tense, or future tense. So in this particular sentence, it's pretty much like I am doing a song, which means I'm singing. So it's like Wendy는. So it's like Wendy is singing a song, and then you have the polite ending. I am doing a song. It very much means singing. So here we have the subject and the verb, right? So singing the song is your verb here. I'm doing a song. So let's see. Let's do another sentence. What's interesting about present tense conjugations for certain verbs is there's a certain ending where the song is too happy. Sorry, hold on. I was like, why is this so happy? Alright, let's listen to this. How do you write save my brain cells? So can we replace 해 with 하다? You could. 노래하다. You can. But you don't usually, that's more like a statement in a book. I feel like you don't usually say that to somebody else. Like if somebody goes like, what is Wendy doing? You would say, 노래해요. Or 노래하고 있어요. It's not something you would say like in a conversation, in a spoken conversation. Yeah, it's very like, that is the way it's written in like its verb form. Yeah, there is a pretty big difference in between like written Korean versus spoken Korean. In spoken Korean, a lot of the grammar is actually omitted. Yeah, it's a statement. But yeah, in spoken Korean, oftentimes they actually omit a lot of stuff because it's just, you just don't really need it. What is 하고 있어? So 하고 있어 is you're currently doing that. Like you are doing it right now. So if I were to say 노래 하고 있어요. So I am singing right now. Like I'm singing that right now. It's very like present. Or if I said like, so sleeping is 자다 or 자. So if I write 자고 있어요, it means I'm sleeping. Like right now, I'm just sleeping. Or if I said like, I'm going right now, I could say 가고 있어요. Like I'm on the way. I'm going right now. Yeah, that is exactly how right now it is. Like you're in the motion of doing it. Yes? What is your question?
What's... Okay, I was gonna ask the question, but I feel like it's kind of, what's it called? Too complex for right now. Like, what's past continuous? Like, was doing?
Yes. So it would be like it would be like you were doing it. Man, it's really hard to explain. It's like 생각했었어. 했었어. Like they're all man. I remember 있었어. Yeah, like it's like you were doing it continuously. So it adds like a us. There's like a ut. You add like like you were doing it continuously. There's just it's conjugations you would have to learn. It was really interesting. So when my Korean language exchange partner was explaining it to me, is when you use past continuous form, it's almost like you're implying something. So it's like, let's say you ask the question like, oh, I did like this person. Let's say like 좋았었어요. Like, oh, yes, I did like that person. But it almost kind of implies that something happened that makes it seem like, oh, how come you don't like that person anymore, right? It's not like 좋았어요. That's like very, like 좋았어요 is like, it's just a regular past tense. But if you add a continuous part to it, it almost makes it seem like you're implying that something else happened, and that's why it like didn't happen. Or like that's why like your relationship didn't happen with that person. It's a very interesting usage of conjugations, but it gets really complicated later. I feel like your brain's gonna blow up. Let's stick to very simple stuff for now. We need to learn the simple stuff. When your forehead is tightening from brain cells moving. It's kind of like I liked this person, and yeah, it's kind of like I used to like. Yeah, I guess I would equate it to something similar to that in English. It's like saying, "Oh, I liked this person before," and that's very like finite, right? It's just like, yes, I liked this person before. There's nothing implied, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of like saying, "Oh, I used to like that person." ... That's kind of like what it feels like when you use like a past continuous form. It's like there's some hidden meaning, some hidden juicy details that you might want to say or might not want to say. It's just something you hint at, right? All right, okay, so let's move on to some more examples of subject and verb. So another way, instead of just like I said, is 고 있어요. So you would take your verb and then add 고 있어요, which would make it more like you're doing it right now, continuously. So we can go crazy with the amount of verbs there are, right? Like I actually have a list. I don't know if you guys want to write this down or not. Probably a good idea to write it down. Here's the big list of verbs. These are very common verbs. Can you see? Is this too small? This looks very small. This does not even put in the whole thing. Okay, I'll just write them all individually. Okay, so for example, there you go. All right, so for example, we have 오다. Why is it like this? There we go. Oh, it's because it's okay. This means to come. 가다 means to go. 하다 means to do. 주다 means to give. Where is my thing going? as soon as where it disappears. Oh, there you go. It's not big enough. Verb conjugation is still melting my brain. What is the difference between having the ha in front of the 하고 있어요? So this is an ending, so you need the verb. So the ha or the he or 하다 here, you're pretty much, this is the verb, right? This is to do. So you're adding 하고 있어요 or 가고 있어요. 하고 있어요. Does that make sense? You need the verb because the first syllable here is the verb. So for example, this is red. 먹다 is to eat. Or 만들다, to make. Or 자다 is to sleep. Let's do another one. 울다 is to cry. What's another one? 듣다 is to hear. So if let's see. So here are more verbs, right? So it's the same thing here. You can say, I'll just write it. I think it's easier. So you can write 먹고 있어요. It means I'm eating right now. 만들고 있어요. I'm making it right now. 자고 있어요. Sleeping right now. 울고 있어요. Crying right now. 듣고 있어요. Listening right now. I'm blocking it. So this is ways to use your verbs. Or another way to write these or to conjugate it is, this is gonna blow your mind. Are you ready?
아니요.
So instead of writing 먹고 있어요, you can say 먹어요. 만들어요. 자요. 울어요.
Is this slang or is this just like a shorter way to write it?
This is the present polite way of conjugating these verbs. So it has similar meaning, but it just pretty much it's the present tense of each verb here. Yeah, you don't really have to use a continuous tense. Like you don't have to use the 고 있어. You don't have to use like this part right here. This is just a way you could say something, but usually you would actually use these ones. Yeah, it's just present simple. Yep, that's right. That's the home phone nearby. Why? Oh my gosh. Oh. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having a home phone, okay?
I have another question.
Yes, what's your question?
So when you use
Oh,
oh.
sorry. Why? 我好，媽，我一陣間 call 翻你得唔得啊？而家做緊工啊，我遲啲 call 翻你啊，OK？Okay, bye. Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. What's your question?
So can you use like does goisoyo also work for like habitual actions? Like if you do the laundry once a week, but it's a habitual thing, you do it every week. Can you use it like that?
You wouldn't use it like that.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
It's something that's very like current. It's like something you're doing right now. That's when you could possibly use 고 있어요.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So for example, like let's just say, hi Darlene. Yeah, conjugations are very stressful. When I was learning them, I didn't understand anything and I don't know why things were the way they were, and I just learned them all through practice. Yes, these are my students. If you guys just joined and you don't know what's going on, basically every 2 weeks I do a Korean lesson. It's an introduction to Korean, very basic stuff. But obviously with each week we progress a little bit more with a little bit more complicated stuff. And so, not really. I mean, not really. So, what was I gonna say? My train of thought got really broken. Oh yeah, so every 2 weeks you can sign up to be a live student, but you had to have followed in the previous lesson. Okie dokie. Hi, okay, so let us move to all right, wait, do we have this down? Did you guys write this down?
No.
Yes? We good? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the next part is subject and adjective. So this is subject, adjective. So for example, oh my gosh, I actually think it's just easier for me to write it. 크다 means big. Okay. So if we were to write something like, let me make it bigger so it's like easier to see. Okay. So for example, let's say 고양이는 커요. The cat is big. So 고양이 is cat. Is big. This is big. 커 is big. So this is how you would conjugate this adjective. So in its written form, it's 크다, which means big. But when you conjugate it in present form, this is present, it would be 커. And then 요 is polite, right? The cat is big. Or Let's do small. So small is 작다. Why is this? There we go. Means small. So in the same way, we can write okay. 작아요. So yes, 작아요. This is small. Is cat. Polite. Here's another sentence. So these are your adjectives, right? Big, small, descriptions, right? Descriptive words. That's what adjectives are. Descriptive words. Let's say beautiful or pretty. Let's see, pretty. 예쁘다. I don't know why I wrote 예쁘다. Okay. So we can write, let's see, Ava. 는 예뻐요. Alright, I know your brain is exploding right now because the conjugation is very different, but so 예뻐 is pretty. And this is the present conjugation of 예쁘다. So Ava is pretty. This is polite ending, right? Huh. I actually don't know. Maybe chat can correct me. Is there some kind of secret formula for how to remember all the conjugations? I pretty much just remember them by memory. I don't know if there's a secret way or pattern. I'm pretty sure you just memorize. Yeah, so it's straight memorization. Yep, so there's unfortunately no secret method I can really teach you. Sacrificing more brain cells, yeah. But just know that usually each verb or adjective stems from its dictionary form, right? So basically it's like you would take off you always take this off when you're conjugating, right? The verb ending. You don't add the ta in anything. Oops. Yeah, I miswrote that. That's just a typo. 예뻐요. I don't think that's gonna help socks. I feel like it doesn't when I learned there was no trick. When I learned, I was like, why is this like this? And my language exchange partner was just like, it just is. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, just remember it. He's like, just remember how to conjugate them. Okay. Alright, so this is subject and adjective. And then finally we have the last one. Wait, did we write all of this down? Do we have this?
네.
네.
Okay. Alright, we're gonna move on to the final. My lesson notes. Okay, so the last one is subject plus object plus verb. Slightly more complicated. So let's write this example. 나는 사과를. Oh, there's particles you guys don't know. I'm so sorry. We will. Oh God! If I write the sentence, it's in past tense. Okay, well we write it in present tense. We write this in present tense. Let's just write 먹어요. Ah! Sorry. Oh, let's write 저는. Nobody says this. This is a really awkward sentence. Okay. Nobody writes this. I mean, nobody really says this. So let's say... but this is an example of how it would be. So this is I am apple eat yo.
I
Yo.
am apple eat.
I am apple eat yo. So this is actually the object particle. We haven't learned it yet. I'll teach you next time. There's a lot of particles that I need to teach you. But so this says 저는 I am 사과를 apple 먹어요.
Man.
Actually, this is
Wait,
really
can you repeat that sentence?
저는 Actually, this is so awkward. I feel like you would have to say 먹고 있어요. This is so awkward. Hold on. Correction. Let me correct this. I can't. This just sounds so awkward to me. I think this sounds way better. Alright, so this is... Yo. I'm eating an apple right now, yo. So this is called the object particle. I'll teach you guys this next week. It's too many things to learn this week. Particle, how do you spell? That's the object particle. So I am eating an apple. You can also, instead of saying I, you can use it in like second person or third person. Wait. Like when you're saying a particular person. Let's just say, for example, like Zoe. Zoe는 사과를 먹고 있어요. Zoe's eating an apple right now. Or let's say another example would be, let's say China는 물을 마셔요. So here is water. This is the object particle. So 마셔 is the verb for drinking. And then we got yo. And then this is our subject. And this is. Then we got our object. And then we got our verb. So same thing here. We got our subject, our object, and our verb. Here's our subject, our object, and our verb. Does that make sense? Are we brain boom? Are we good?
Booming.
Are you booming?
Clicking.
Clicking? Okay, okay. Not bad. We have some clickers and some boomers. Yep, that would be correct, Nutella. Okay, so this is like official, right? So what's interesting, I just want to like say this because it's something you should know, is that when we just talk, like when we're talking to each other, right? We don't usually need the subject. So when people talk, it's usually just like the object and the verb, or just the verb. And then only when you have an adjective, you would need like the noun or the subject. Because like, let's say like you're talking to me, right? You're like, yo, Wendy, what are you doing? And I'll just be like, eating food. I don't need to say I am eating food. Like, why do I need to say I am eating food? You know it's me. You're asking me, right? So I would never need to put the subject, the object, and the verb, right? I wouldn't need to be like, or I could just be like, I'm eating. Like you would never really need to put the whole entire sentence, but for the purpose of understanding sentence structure and how sentences are formed, you do need to know this. But usually it's very simplified. So like Korean language is all about convenience. It's all about like fluidity. It's all about like, it's like, what are you doing? Eating. It's like, what are you eating? Rice. Like it's very simple, short, convenient. It's all about like, you don't need to like say too much because the subject or the noun or the intention is implied. It's something that you already know. It's like, oh, if you're asking like, what are you doing right now? Working. Right? You don't have to say like, I am currently at work and I am doing this at work. Like nobody cares. They're just asking, what are you doing? Work. Usually answers are very simple, very straight to the point. And that's why like whenever I say like, oh, learning Korean is such an interesting experience because like it's so interesting because like the way you would actually write it out like on a piece of paper or in an official sentence is a lot different than just speaking the language. Yeah, there's a lot of like implications, like people imply a lot of like certain meanings and stuff if you say certain things or omit certain things. Isn't blur just blur? Well, in an official sentence, you do need the particle to make it grammatically make sense. But when you just speak it, you do omit the object particle. So for example, if we go back into our Microsoft Paint. So let's turn this into spoken, right? Yeah, Korean is all about fast, convenience. So let's say we're asking like, let's say I'm asking China, okay? I'll be like me. I'm like, Wendy goes, hey, China, what are you doing, right? And then technically, if let's say we were just like same age, we're friends, we're just saying it in a casual form, right? We could say like, 물 마셔. It's literally just water, drink. Or if she was being polite, she would say, 물 마셔요. Drinking water. That's it. Drink, it's water and drink. It's very simple. There's no particle, there's no subject, there's no like anything, right? They just omit everything. This is like as fast as you can. Or I'd be like, or she could be like, what else can she be doing? 밥 먹어. 밥 먹어요. So 밥 means rice or food. So let me write this down. So this means this is water, right? And drink. And this is rice or just food in general. And this means to eat. So usually you would have in the written form something here for grammatical structure, here for grammatical structure, or like a subject in the front. And you can even have like something like, you know, you can even have an object too. But that's all like grammatical stuff. When you're actually just speaking to each other, a lot of it is omitted. So at the end of the day, it's like, what the hell is the point of learning all this crazy grammatical stuff? It's important because you need to know why these things are there. And then after you understand why everything is supposed to be there, you can start taking out everything and going like, ah, I don't need to use this because this is implied, or I don't need to use this because this. But you can't start with not knowing the rules. You need to start with knowing every rule until you know when it's okay not to put the rules in. Yes, you need to learn everything to be lazy. Like, for example, you can't just learn sup. You need to know what's up, right? You can't just say sup. Like, you need to know where it stems from and why it's like that, right? Like, when you first learn the English language, you can't teach a beginner, all right, if you need to know what is going on with someone, you just go sup. Yeah, if you need to break the rules, you need to know every rule. That is correct. Very good. So another example is, let's say you're working, right? So, 일을 해요. This is literally in its simplest sense. 일 means work. Oop. And this is 해 is to do. So I'm doing work. And then it's even simpler if you're talking in casual, you just take out the yo. 일을 해. So it's like if me and my best friend were like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, 일을 해. I'm working. Actually, it's even simpler. Sometimes they don't even say to do. They just say 일. They say work. There's no to do work. It's just work. And then your friend's like, ah, okay, you're working. So like, you don't even need, it's just a one-word answer sometimes. So like, you really, really be keeping it simple in Korean when you're talking, you know what I mean? So it's a very fun language, an interesting thing to learn. It's just, if there's a way to make it shorter, you make it shorter. If there's a way to make it more convenient, you make it convenient. So usually when it is that way though, the shorter it is, the more informal it becomes. Okay, so just remember that you cannot. So there's a saying in Korean where it's just like, oh, your words are short. 말이 짧아요. So it's like when they say that, it means like, oh, you're being rude. Like your sentence is getting really short, right? So it's like, whoa, like why are you suddenly like becoming so disrespectful? Usually, so the funny part is like the more respectful you are, the longer your sentence ending becomes, right? It's not just like yo, it's like 입니다, right? It becomes longer. So the funny thing in Korean is like they say like, oh, when your sentence is long, you're being respectful. But when you say something like, when they say something, oh, your sentence is becoming short or your whatever is becoming short, they're pretty much calling you rude. They're saying, oh, like WTF, why are you speaking so short with me? They're being like, oh, why are you being so casual? Like, why are you not being respectful? So that's another way like someone can say, oh, you're being rude. Or like, why the heck are you being so rude with me? So it's really interesting. So like I said, the more you cut out of your sentence, the more casual or the more informal it becomes. And the longer it is, the more polite you are, respectful you are, which is not bad, right? It's always good to be respectful, which is why I'm teaching you guys the polite form, because you can't really disrespect people by speaking in the polite form. And basically, when in doubt, always be polite. Never use casual off the bat. Always use polite form. Always, always, always. It doesn't matter if you completely don't know the person, even if they're younger than you, even if they're whatever. It's like polite is very important. It's all about respect. What if I say I hate you, yo? I mean, you can be respectful when you're saying something mean to someone too. You're respectfully mean. You can be rudely mean.
Sarcasm.
What's up, Kier?
So you can be in sarcasm, or depending on how the tone they'll be using.
Wait, I can't understand what you're saying on your mic. It's kind of like scuffed. Can you type it real quick? Yeah, the mic is kind of distorted. You can be sarcastically polite. Yeah, you can. You can. Yes, you can. Interestingly, you can. It's very interesting. You can be sarcastically polite. So for example, if you tease the yo at the end, then the person will be like, what the fuck? Like, why'd you do that? But it depends. Like for example, when I was first learning Korean, I was a little bit more used to casual form versus polite form. But then I was actually speaking to like Abe's parents, and I cannot speak casual to them. Like that is not okay. I'm not on the same level of like respect with them. But then they understood that I'm obviously not native Korean, so they were like okay with it, but they would correct me and stuff. But like eventually it's just like I had to like practice a lot of speaking in the polite form, which is important. Like I said, it's always good to be default polite rather than default casual, and I always think that it's better to learn polite form rather than learning casual form. Casual you can actually pick up pretty easily once you know polite, but I feel like the other way around isn't necessarily like as intuitive. Like you can't, it's like if you know casual, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll know all the conjugation endings of polite form. But if you know polite, it's really easy to take it away and dumb it down to a casual form, because polite form is longer than casual, right? So that's why I always said it's better to learn the longer things and learn all the rules before you cut it out and make it more casual or make it more convenient for you to speak. Okay, all right, so that is the end of the sentence structure. And then at the very end of our lesson today, I just want to teach you guys some very simple phrases that are useful, just like little like everyday phrases. I think a lot of you guys already know a lot of them, but I think it's good to kind of explain and teach them again. I thought lesson was over, my brain. It hasn't even been 2 hours. You know, I actually planned all of this out. I was like, I need to teach you guys this stuff. And then I wanted to teach you guys this stuff. Don't worry, this is simple stuff. This is just like speaking. A little bit of speaking stuff. So, here we go. I'm going to copy all of these down. You're scared of homework? Don't worry, I will make the homework for you guys soon. Kick. Oh, this is too big. Let's do this. Can you teach I can't speak Korean in Korean? Sure. I give lessons once every 2 weeks because I need my students and everybody to have time to practice with everything and give you guys time to ask me questions and go through things, study them, do the homework. If you guys are wondering about the homework, I post them in the Discord, and I usually post like several different practice sheets so that you guys can try it out, write down the answers. You can send it to me, and then I mark them, and I'll correct you, and you can ask me questions at the same time. All right, so really simple stuff here. I feel like most of you guys already know this, but let's see. Austin, do you know what this says? The very first one?
Hello. Right.
In Korean?
안녕하세요.
Yes, very good. So this one is 안녕하세요. Oh my god. My brain is trying to write in English, but it's writing in Korean. Okay. This is 안녕하세요, right? This is hello. And this is polite. Onions on sale. Yes. This is just polite. Can someone tell me what this is? China? Or anybody? Anybody.
안녕히 계세요?
Yeah, so this says an young he or he ke세요. So this one you actually say, you're pretty much, this is something you say when you are leaving. So when you are leaving and you are saying this to the people who are staying. Does that make sense? So this means to stay in a place, to be and stay in a place. Also, this is like a welcome gesture. Welcome meaning. So 계세요 means to, it's a polite thing to say. It's pretty much be like, oh, like, I hope, you know, your stay will be like good. Pretty much. It's like when you're leaving, you'll say to someone like, oh yeah, like I hope you have a good stay. It's kind of like a goodbye, but it's more like a goodbye greeting. And then this one. Oops. Hello. There we go. This is 안녕히. What's the last part? Anybody?
가세요.
That's right. It's 가세요. So this one is when you are staying and they are, and then you say this to the people leaving. So let's say, okay, for example, let's just say, I'm staying home, or let's say we're all having a party right now, okay? Every student in this room. We're all in one room right now, and we're having a party or something, okay? Let's say Joe leaves. I'd be like, 안녕히 가세요. I would say, hey, like, have a good leave. Pretty much. And then Joe would say to me, 안녕히 계세요, right? Like, oh, have a good stay. Like, leave well, stay well. It's a very polite greeting. And it's like, it's just a nice gesture to say to people leaving and coming and going and stuff like that. It's to acknowledge that they're leaving and to acknowledge that people are staying. And like I said, the language is a very respectful, like we care about you kind of language. So it's like, we need to acknowledge people's existence. They're leaving and they're coming and they're going. All right. So there are 2 different ways to say thank you. So first one is 감사합니다. This is the one that's very common, that you guys probably hear a lot. There's 감사합니다. Wait, through my out, John? Wait, what, Joe? Anyways, and then the shorter form, or the present polite form of 감사합니다 is 감사해요. 감사해요. Another way is 고마워요 or 고맙습니다. Those are all ways of saying thank you. We are having a party. So this is the polite form, and then the other one was, sorry, this one can also look like this. 고맙습니다. So it's the polite, it's the formality above the polite form. So on the scale of 1, 2, 3 for most polite, we have most polite, second most polite, or most polite, second most. And then there's casual too. So same thing here. Sorry, it's this. What's the difference between 감사해요 and 고마워요? I don't know if there's a real difference. It's just thank you. I don't know if there's an actual difference. I think they're just the same. I think this is slightly more respectful than 감사해요. But then it's weird because like if you were trying to be respectful anyways, you would use 입니다. You wouldn't use the yo. Well, you could. It depends. They're pretty much very similar, but I would say that like this one's a little bit more more acceptable than this one. But they're both kind of similar. I think it depends on the situation, but they're both a similar meaning. They're both thank you. Actually, I think this one is a bit more thankful than this one. And this one's a bit more sorry than this one. Maybe it's the seriousness of the tone. It might be a little bit more like serious. Yeah, I think if it's 입니다, it's always more polite than yo. Always. So this one is sorry. This meaning is sorry. So there's 미안합니다 or 미안해요. 죄송합니다. 죄송해요. So they're both also sorry. It's my first time in a stream like this, and for some reason it's a little hard to keep up any tips. I would say go back to my first lesson. And you can rewatch the lesson over and over again because I'm going to be uploading them on my YouTube. And you can also look at the VOD. Oh, yeah. I typoed. Sorry, this is... Ah, why is it black? Ah, why is it still black? Ah! There we go. Fixed. Fixed. I'm learning. Oh my god, I'm understanding. Cool. So, yeah, that concludes our lesson for today. It was a good 2-hour lesson. I'm going to be accepting questions. If you guys have any questions, ask away. Ask the questions.
What was that last form of sorry? How do you read that?
It's... 1 second. I'll write it for you. Oh, God. You know, now that I've discovered just writing, I should just write it. It looks so much better than when I write it with my mouse. I actually ordered a tablet so that I can so that I can not write so ugly. I prefer writing, but alright, so this one, how would you pronounce this? So here, oh, maybe I need to make this a bit bigger. Damn it, why does it not let me edit? Maybe if I zoom? Okay, let's zoom. Very good. So.
We zoom in.
Ah! That scared me, that was very loud. Okay, so we have J sound. The way sound, che. S O N G. 재성. Ha. B. But remember, this is kind of silent, right? So we don't really read this. Ni. Ta. So it would be 죄송함. Kind of like an M, but not really. 합니다. It's not a B. 죄송합니다. So I mean, it's kind of like an M, but not really. 죄송합니다. And this one is 죄송해요. 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 죄송합니다. 죄송해요. Do you want to try and say it? China?
죄송합니다. 죄송해요.
It's 죄.
죄송합니다.
Not so much 죄, but 죄. 죄. It's like, so the W is less pronounced here. 죄.
죄송합니다.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it? Alright, what other questions do we have?
Wait.
What are we waiting for?
Oh no, nothing, nothing.
Oh, okay. My handwriting got bigger and bigger as the lesson went on. Kind of, not really though. It's not really a CH sound. It's like che. It's still a J sound because CH sound is ch. I don't think I'm gonna sign up for next time because my brain go boom today. Anybody from chat have any questions? I mean, it can get pretty complicated. So it's like, do you want to learn this? Do you not want to learn this? At the very... Thank you so much for the 400 bits. At the very, very, very basics, like, this is pretty much what you need to know for very basic Korean. Can we slow down a teeny bit for next lesson? Sure. Oh, how do I say I can't speak Korean? How... I can't speak Korean. You're right.
This is a really cool thing you're doing for your viewers, Wendy. Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, thanks for the $25. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So this is 한국말 못해요. So 한국말 is like the spoken language of Korean. Um, because this is Korea, and this is kind of like speech. Oh, that's not a C, sorry. And this means can't. This means to do. And then we got your yo. Can't do Korean speech, yo. That's I can't speak Korean. Well, I'm just listening to non-copyright music, sorry. If I listened to anything interesting or didn't put music at all, it would just be muted in the VOD, which is why I put on some good old copyright music, you know, that I can just kind of loop all day. Good old copyright music. Copyright free music. So what's interesting is there's two different things. There's can't and then there's won't. So when you say something like 못해요, it means like you actually cannot, you are incapable of doing that. But when you say something like 안 해요, it means like I don't want to do it, or like I won't do it. Can you say it out loud again? 한국말 못해요. So here I taught you this earlier, right? That the 시옷, this S, makes the swallowed DT sound, right? So when you are actually reading 못, it's 못. Sounds like 못. 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 But you do hear that this is not silent. It makes the DT sound. 못. Oh, actually, this is a very good example of consonants transferring their sounds onto the next. So here, you see how the 못 is here, right? So this T sound kind of transfers over to the 해, so it's 못해. So 못해. So you kind of say it together, 못해. So it like blends. It ends up sounding a little bit like 못해. Yo, 못해요. I can't speak Korean well. You would write 한국말 잘 못해요. So you would write so in this case, 잘 is kind of like well. So it's like can't really do it that well. So it's Korean well can't.
Does the can't here mean like incapable of doing and not like improper? Like how do I word it? Like in this situation, 못 means like incapable, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there like also a verb for can't in like Korean?
I think so. One second. I don't know. I don't know every single verb dictionary form because I didn't learn it. Is 못 even is there even? That's a good question. Let me see. There might not be. I think it's just like its own singular thing. I don't know. Maybe a Korean person can tell me. 못 doesn't have a dictionary form, right? It's just 못, right? It's just, and you just put it in front of something to make it negative or that you can't. Pretty sure there's no other form of it. And usually usually it's in front of something to do. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, 못 and 안. So, okay, let me teach you something. So, 못 is can't, and 안 is like kind of like won't or don't. And these are always usually, I think it's always in front of he, which means to do. So you either can't do something or don't or won't do something. So it would either be 못해요 or 안 해요.
Wait, does an mean like you won't do something because it's improper, or
Well,
like,
no, you just won't
oh.
do something.
oh wait, does Korean have like a thing where you can't do something because it's improper?
What do you mean by improper?
Like
Like it's bad?
like something that's bad. Like you can't do something not because you aren't incapable of doing it, but because
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
then it's implied in the meaning.
mm,
So it's like if I go like if I'm like, "Oh, Austin, go steal that sandwich for me." And you'd be like, "못해요. I can't do that." It's not because you can't actually do it, right? But it's because it's wrong and you don't want to. But so that's why you're saying you can't. It's not something you would morally do.
oh, so you would use the same word?
Yes.
What? Oh, okay.
You could also say 안 해요, which means like yeah, I won't do it. But technically 못해요, okay, so it's sort of an implied meaning as well. When you say you can't do something, it could mean that you actually can't do something, or it can also mean that you really, really can't, like you don't want to. You don't want to so much that you're going to say, I cannot possibly do that. Do you kind of understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Seeking. This is a 3,000 IQ question. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it's sort of like in English too. Like you say you can't to emphasize that you really, really, really don't want to do it, right? It's like, hey, can you do this for me? No, I really can't. I'm sorry. It's not that you actually aren't physically possible to do it, right? But so I don't know if so. Somebody in the chat talked about this word was te or te, which this is the capability of or the possibility of doing something. So this is like another concept. Oh wait, I feel like we're teaching too many things today. Your brain's gonna boom. I'm just gonna talk about this very, very like briefly. You don't have to write it down. But this word te, it's pronounced like this. Te is so you know, I don't know if you heard in like dramas 안 돼. It means like no, that's not possible. Or like te, it means like yes, that is possible. So it's pretty much the word you would use when something is possible or not possible. And the spelling of it is very dependent on the context, and that is actually really hard to explain as well, so I'm not going to go into that. But anyways, the word itself means whether you're able to or not able to. It's whether something is possible or not possible. So it's like it's like for example, can you do this homework today? Like if I go like, hey, Zoe, can you finish your homework today? And then Zoe's gonna be like, 안 돼요. It's like, no, It's not possible. I can't do this. Like, no, I cannot. Or it's like, hey, can you finish your homework by today? It's like, Teo, yes, I can. It's possible. There's or high seat. Okay, I mean, okay, there's a lot of different ways to say something. I can't address everything in the chat right now because my students will like brain explode. So yeah, there are many ways to say certain phrases. I can't teach them all in one day because you will literally explode. Can we use both twice? Yes, but it depends on the sentence. And I'll have to explain that another day. But yeah, that's the general meaning of this word. So the interesting and difficult thing about Korean is there are many ways and like kind of phrases to say things. And the other interesting thing about Korean is there are certain ways to say things. So it's like there are ways you would describe something or say something in English that a Korean person would never say in their language. Honda thanks to the 9 months. So the difficult part about Korean is understanding the little intricacies about ways you can say different things. But the also easy part about Korean is the actual written language is not super hard because most of it is just consonants and vowels and pairing them together and how they sound like together. And then the fact that like a lot of things can be omitted eventually in speech makes it an easier language. However, learning the different parts of the language can be a little bit more difficult. So that is that. All right, guys. I'm going to stop right there before we ask more questions that will make your brains explode because I feel like everybody's brain already exploded. So we're not going to ask more questions because it's going to make me explain more intricate things that you guys don't know right now and shouldn't know because you need to focus on what we learned today. So that is the end of today's lesson. It's so funny. So class is dismissed. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody.